Hello everyone, how have you been? I wish everything is gonna be okay. So today we have a new material named Semiotic Methods and Applications. First of all, let's start from the definition of semiotics. Semiotics is the science that studies about signs and symbols for human communication. After knowing the definition of semiotics, let's see the application and methods of this file. There are 3 applications and methods that will be discussed in our presentation, such as the poem of a grave ago using poetic metaphor, a brand of pasta using visual metaphor, and a news photography Notting Hill using several analyses. Norms is an average example of behavior or evaluation. Pay attention to this note. Widely accepted conventions are close to the norm. The unexpected, the non-conventional, is a deviation from the norm. Conventions is agreement or contract in community, and the deviation is the violation of conventions. Paradigm is a sign that may be replaced by another with the same characteristic, while syntax is a sign occurs together to create meaning. For example, is a sentence. The word grave is deviant in all 3 characteristics: measuring time, regular recurrence, and plurality. The author's success given the word a new set of meaning that many readers find particularly apt or imaginatively pleasing.
There is an advertisement of a brand of pasta, which shows a place setting in the center of the plate where the food normally goes. It's a waste filled in the brilliant sunshine, where the norm would lead us to expect prepared food cooked by artificial heat. We see the natural raw food want only the sun. The scene time of a dinner plate with on it would normally be completed by the unit form the paradigm with the characteristic of cooked, artificial, taken away from nature. It is completed. However, that unit from the paradigm of the natural, which is the healthy. The pasta advertisement are working metaphorically. That's why it called as visual metaphor, in that they are taking units from one paradigm and inserting them into a scene time which would be normally completed by units from another. By so doing, they are associating the characteristics of 2 paradigms in a new and imaginatively striking away by the process of transpositions. All of metaphors are, in this sense, deviations from the norms of language behavior. What can happen and frequently does is that a metaphor becomes so common, frequently used, and that it becomes the norm. It is when it becomes a cliché and loses its imaginative and original impact. Pasta advertisement, however, bring more from their normal paradigm than they gain from their new one. This is short of imaginative work involved in metaphoric transpositions than lies behind Jacobson's belief that poetry and brand of the pasta, especially for the advertisement, works mainly by visual metaphor. After advertisement of a brand of pasta, we also have a photograph taken at the 1976 Notting Hill Carnival in London. it is a part of which turned into a confrontation between young blacks and police. This is the use of that the observer made of it. There are 8 methods in analyzing Notting Hill Carnival photograph. The first one is first-order symptom, second-order symptom, myth and connotation, the professional's view, the mythologist's view, commutation task, words and image, paradigms, and the last one is preferred readings. The first method is first-order symptom. It is a symptom made up of a number of visual signs. It is an iconic symptom like this, that the signs combined into it are not distinct and clearly separable as they are in arbitrary symptom, like sentence. It is called as a photography, an analog of reality. The two main signs are the group of black youths and the group of policemen. The three subsidiary signs are the crowd of blacks surrounding the incidents, the urban setting, and the site of a flyover and terrace houses, and the tree. The symptom brings these signs into a particular relationship, one of a confrontation that is connected in some way, possibly caused to the urban and black setting. Now we have concepts of the police, blacks, the inner city, and the trees, which we need to read this picture. These signifiers are the result of our cultural experience. We can recognize the uniform figures as policemen and not to say a Salvation Army band. Our signifier of the blacks takes account of our knowledge that blacks are comparatively recent, noticeable immigrants into a predominantly white society.
Second order symptom, myth and connotation. The first one is myth. So myth is the dominant ideologies that already exist in our mind. This photograph triggers off on our mind our concept of myth about police and the black youth. So the dominant ideology or dominant myth about police is police are not aggressive. They are the one that's supposed to keep peace in our society, while the black youth are blacks, and this affected youth, which refer to the young people rebelling to the aspect of society. So actually, the myth of police and black youth, this come to the conclusion that this confrontation, this conflict in this photograph was caused by race and generation gap. The next one is connotation. So the observer, as you can see in the photograph behind, the observer cropped the photograph so it becomes long and narrow. In the photograph, the tree has gone, the underside of the flyover remains there even though it could have been cropped. And then the black crowds remain there too. And also there is words young, bitter, and black in heavy black print printed in the middle of the photograph. So all of this, the words, the position, and the typeface, all of this underline the connotation of this conflict. The professional views. Actually, this is between process school and semiotic school. In process school, Harold Evans, the editor of the time, said that the effect upon the reader is determined by the photograph itself, while in semiotic school it said that the reader does play part in producing the meaning.
The methodologist view. There are 3 points in the methodologist view. The first one, the myth denies the history of the slavery and colonialism in Caribbean and African countries, which lies behind both the presence of the blacks in Britain and their disadvantaged social positions. The second one, the conflict was caused by societal deprivations and favors the one that the black youths tend naturally to be destructive, aggressive, and anti-social. Third one, the words young, bitter, and black help this naturalizing process by suggesting that the bitterness is caused by their nature as black youth and not by their treatment by a white society. Meanings are never just textual, they are always socio-political, and it is upon these dimensions that the mythologist focuses. Paradigm. One unit in the paradigm must be significantly different from the rest. The first one, the infinite number of the photographs of the police is a problem only in the first order of signification. In the second order, there is a limited number of significantly different ways of the photographing the police. There are comparatively few values or emotions to be connected and even fewer means by which we understand the police force. The second one, the paradigm might not be explicit as in arbitrary code, but there is nonetheless an unspoken conscience within our culture of the dominant units in it. Third one, have the same paradigm of ways of photographing the police. If they do not, then the second order meanings that they read will change. The fourth one, this photograph might cannot buy us the value of the police restraint and tolerance. To others, it might cannot police weakness or even cannot fear. To yet others, it might cannot police instructions or information.
There are 2 main functions from the commutation test. The first one is to identify significant differences or distinctive features. The second one is to help us define that significance. For example, is a van and car. Both of them have no different meaning and underrated syntax. The van is not a signifying unit, yet it can change the syntax if we change the background into a prosperous white suburb.
The next method is word and visual images or word and image. Visual images are implying, underlying, their signifiers and floating chains of signified, the reader able to choose some and ignore others. We also have word as the fixed floating chains of signified in such way as to counter the terror of uncertain signs. And we also have connotation and denotation. Connotations gives the reader a greater range of possible meanings than does the denotation, and that words can be used to narrow this range or to close off parts of it. Another function of encourage is what better says denominations. Denomination tells us simply what the photograph is of, and thus help us as the reader to locate it accurately within our experience of the world. Each of these denominations would have closed off certain meanings and lead you to understand towards others.
Stuart Hall mentioned 3 ways to decode mass media messages. The first one is dominant code. Dominant code conveys the dominant values or the preferred reading by the society. So, to conclude, dominant code is where the readers fully accept what the media say. In the photograph, the dominant code is the police are our representatives. They are supposed to maintain our free society, while the blacks are the criminals. The next one is negotiated code. In negotiated code, the readers accept the dominant value, but they also ready to argue it. In the photograph, the reader accepts that the police perform their function well, but they do it in the wrong way. The third one is oppositional code. It rejects the dominant value. So the reader basically disagree with the media.
Research: Piston 1990, Introductions to Communication Study, London and New York, Routledge. Thank you for watching. May our presentations give you knowledge, and if you have any questions, just write it down. And thank you.